The skin on the arms is often among the first areas where visible signs of aging appear. This is not simply because the skin is wearing out, but because it is responding to internal signals that can be influenced. For a long time, aging has been understood as an unavoidable and gradual decline. Wrinkles, pigmentation changes, and loss of firmness were seen as permanent outcomes of time. However, developments in modern biological research suggest a more complex picture. Skin aging is closely connected to underlying biological activity, including inflammation, reduced vascular performance, cellular aging, and changes in how the immune system communicates with the body and environment. Many of these processes are not fixed or irreversible. Instead, they are dynamic and can shift under certain conditions. From this perspective, when a dermatologist recommends applying a topical product to the skin, the key question is not only what is being applied, but how it influences biological activity beneath the surface. Simple application can trigger a chain of responses in the body. These may include improved circulation, activation of repair mechanisms, and reduced oxidative stress. In this sense, the skin is not just a protective layer, but a living system that reacts to both internal and external input. Research associated with institutions such as Harvard and the National Institutes of Health has indicated that skin aging is strongly connected to overall health status, including metabolism and the microbiome. This means changes in the skin can reflect broader changes occurring throughout the body. The discussion then shifts beyond surface-level treatment toward understanding how topical approaches may influence visible signs, such as uneven tone, wrinkles, and reduced firmness, particularly in the arm area. An important question emerges. Could the act of applying substances to the skin represent more than cosmetic care, and instead function as a form of biological signaling? Before exploring mechanisms in detail, it is important to recognize that skin aging varies significantly between individuals of the same age. This variation suggests that aging is not strictly uniform and may be influenced by internal regulatory factors. At the foundational level, skin structure is built around collagen, a protein that provides firmness, elasticity, and structural support. Collagen is continuously broken down and rebuilt through active biological processes managed by specialized cells known as fibroblasts. In younger skin, fibroblasts are highly active, maintaining strong collagen production and efficient repair. With increasing age, fibroblast activity gradually decreases. Research published in journals such as the Journal of Investigative Dermatology shows that this decline is influenced not only by age itself, but also by environmental conditions such as oxidative stress, inflammation, and reduced mechanical stimulation. As a result, cells may receive fewer signals to maintain collagen production. This raises an important possibility: whether biological signaling to these cells can be influenced again. Topical compounds may play a role in this process. Certain substances found in natural oils and plant-based extracts have been observed to support fibroblast activity. Vitamin C is one of the key components involved in collagen synthesis. Without it, the body cannot form stable collagen structures, a fact demonstrated historically in research on scurvy and now understood at a molecular level. Vitamin A derivatives, known as retinoids, have also been widely studied. Research from the University of Michigan has shown that topical retinoids can increase collagen production and reduce collagen breakdown over time, contributing to measurable improvements in skin structure. Beyond chemical components, physical stimulation also plays a role. When the skin is gently massaged, mechanical signals are generated. These signals activate receptors in the skin, improve local blood flow, and may be detected by fibroblasts as cues to increase activity. This effect can often be observed shortly after massage or topical application, when the skin temporarily appears more vibrant and fuller. This is a direct reflection of increased biological activity in the area. A structured approach to supporting collagen activity can be described in 3 elements. The first involves providing nutritional or biochemical signals through topical compounds that support collagen formation, such as vitamin C-based formulations or plant-derived polyphenols. The second involves mechanical stimulation, where gentle massage of the skin for a short period enhances circulation and cellular signaling without causing damage. The third is consistency over intensity, since collagen remodeling occurs gradually through repeated biological signaling, rather than immediate change. Overall, the process is less about introducing something foreign and more about restoring communication within existing biological systems. Collagen represents structural integrity, while blood flow functions as the delivery network that supports cellular repair and regeneration. One of the earliest changes associated with skin aging is a gradual reduction in microcirculation. This decline is not immediately visible but manifests over time as dullness, slower recovery, thinning, and reduced vitality. Scientific research, including studies from the Karolinska Institute, has shown that aging is associated with reduced capillary density and diminished function of endothelial cells, which line blood vessels. This leads to decreased oxygen delivery and slower removal of metabolic waste. This process can be compared to a system in which transportation routes become less efficient, gradually affecting overall performance even if the structure itself remains intact. However, microcirculation remains responsive to change. It can be influenced relatively quickly through external stimulation. Topical application combined with massage may promote vasodilation, which increases blood flow to the skin. This enhanced circulation delivers oxygen, nutrients, and signaling molecules directly to skin cells. Studies on botanical compounds rich in polyphenols or substances that support nitric oxide pathways have shown measurable increases in local circulation. Even mild heat generated by friction during application can contribute to this effect. The sensation of warmth or slight redness following application is a physiological response indicating increased vascular activity. Blood circulation does more than deliver nutrients. It also serves as a communication system, transporting hormones, growth factors, and immune signals throughout the body. When circulation improves, the exchange of biological signals between the skin and internal systems becomes more active and efficient. In a biological sense, improving microcirculation can be understood as a longevity-related signal. It communicates to the body that a specific tissue is active, functional, and worth maintaining. This concept can be translated into a simple, practical approach known as the 60-second circulation reset. When applying a topical product to the arms, upward sweeping movements are used to guide blood flow in the direction of the heart. Moderate pressure is applied, enough to gently compress the skin without causing discomfort. Each arm is treated for at least 60 seconds, allowing time for a vascular response to develop. When possible, this is performed after a warm shower, a condition in which blood vessels are already naturally more dilated. The emphasis is not on precision, but on repetition and consistency. Over time, repeated actions create cumulative effects. Increased circulation can support collagen activity, improve tissue repair processes, and enhance the uptake of beneficial compounds. There is also a neurological dimension. Physical touch activates sensory pathways that can reduce levels of stress-related hormones, such as cortisol. Lower cortisol is associated with reduced inflammation, improved immune regulation, and healthier skin function. This simple behavior therefore operates across multiple systems at once, including vascular, cellular, and neurological pathways. At a broader level, circulation should not be viewed as a purely automatic function, but as a process that can be influenced through deliberate action. Once blood flow is understood as a biological signal, everyday movements and touch become forms of internal communication with the body. Within the biology of aging, there is a paradox. The immune system, which exists to protect the body, can over time contribute to visible decline in tissue function. This phenomenon is known in modern science as inflammaging. It refers to a persistent state of low-level chronic inflammation that develops gradually and often without clear symptoms. Unlike acute inflammation, which is temporary and visible, this form operates quietly and continuously, shaping tissue behavior over long periods. Skin, particularly on exposed areas such as the arms, becomes a visible record of this process. Daily exposure to ultraviolet radiation, environmental pollution, temperature variation, and minor physical stress activates immune responses in the skin. In response, the body releases signaling molecules known as cytokines, which coordinate repair and defense mechanisms. In the short term, this response is beneficial and necessary. However, when activation becomes continuous and unresolved, these same cytokines begin to damage structural proteins, disrupt pigmentation balance, and weaken regenerative capacity. Research from institutions such as Stanford University and the Buck Institute for Research on Aging has demonstrated that chronic inflammation accelerates degradation of extracellular matrix components, including collagen and elastin. It also increases oxidative stress, producing free radicals that damage cellular structures. Over time, these processes contribute to visible signs such as wrinkles, uneven skin tone, and loss of elasticity. A key biological question emerges. How can this inflammatory activity be reduced without disabling essential immune protection? Certain plant-derived compounds provide one pathway of modulation. Substances such as polyphenols, flavonoids, and essential fatty acids have been shown to influence inflammatory pathways at the molecular level. Ingredients including green tea extract, curcumin, and omega-3 rich oils exhibit anti-inflammatory activity in biological systems. One compound in particular, epigallocatechin gallate, known as EGCG, found in green tea, has been observed in dermatological research to reduce inflammation signaling and limit ultraviolet-induced skin damage. Curcumin, derived from turmeric, has also been shown to inhibit NF-kappa B, a key regulator of inflammatory activity in the body. When applied topically, these compounds do not remain passive on the surface. Instead, they interact directly with skin cells and can influence signaling pathways and gene expression within the tissue where aging changes are most visible. This creates a localized biological effect at the site of application. A structured approach can be described as an anti-inflammatory skin shield. It operates through 3 layers of action. The first layer involves daily protection through topical products containing antioxidant and anti-inflammatory compounds, especially during morning exposure when the skin is preparing for environmental stress. The second layer focuses on targeted repair, using these compounds after sun exposure or during nighttime periods when natural repair processes are active. The third layer is internal alignment, recognizing that inflammation is influenced not only by external application, but also by hydration, nutrition, sleep, and psychological stress. External treatments are most effective when supported by internal balance. Skin responses to stress highlight this connection. Periods of high psychological pressure often correspond with increased skin sensitivity, dullness, and reduced vitality. This correlation reflects direct communication between internal physiological state and external appearance. Aging in this context can be interpreted not only as time-related change, but also as the accumulation of unresolved biological signals. Chronic inflammation is one of the most persistent of these signals. By addressing inflammatory processes, conditions are created that allow repair mechanisms to function more effectively. This represents a shift in perspective from corrective intervention to protective maintenance. The goal becomes preservation of biological function, rather than restoration after decline. Beneath the skin lies a complex cellular environment resembling a highly organized system, where each cell contributes to maintenance and repair functions. Within this system, certain cells gradually lose normal function but do not die. Instead, they persist in a dysfunctional state, occupying space and releasing signals that disrupt surrounding activity. These are known as senescent cells, sometimes described as zombie cells. Senescent cells are not inherently harmful in all contexts. They play roles in wound healing and tumor suppression. However, problems arise when they accumulate in aging tissue. Their presence triggers inflammatory signaling that accelerates degradation of collagen, disrupts pigmentation regulation, and reduces regenerative efficiency in the skin. Research from the Mayo Clinic and the Buck Institute for Research on Aging has shown that even partial reduction of senescent cell burden can improve tissue function, reduce wrinkle formation, and support elasticity recovery. This connects directly to topical and biological intervention strategies. Emerging dermatological research suggests that certain natural compounds may function as senolytic or senomorphic agents. These compounds either assist in clearing senescent cells or modulate their harmful signaling activity. Flavonoids such as fisetin and quercetin, found in strawberries, apples, and onions, have demonstrated potential in laboratory models for reducing senescent cell accumulation. When applied to the skin, these compounds may influence the local biological environment and support healthier cell turnover processes. Senescence should therefore be understood not as a fixed outcome, but as a modifiable biological state that responds to environmental and biochemical signals. A practical framework can be described as a senescent cell reset. The first component involves targeted topical application of compounds with senolytic or senomorphic potential, including fisetin, quercetin, and plant polyphenols, applied consistently to areas prone to aging, such as the arms. The second component involves mechanical stimulation through gentle massage, which supports circulation and assists in the removal of cellular waste, similar to maintaining infrastructure within a functioning system. The third component involves maintaining a supportive internal environment, since oxidative stress, poor nutrition, and chronic inflammation can increase senescent cell accumulation and accelerate tissue decline. Supporting the body with sufficient sleep, antioxidant-rich nutrition, and effective stress management can enhance the effects of topical care. This leads to a deeper question. If some visible signs of aging are actually signals produced by senescent cells, often described as zombie cells, what changes when we stop attempting to simply conceal them and instead begin to communicate with them and guide their activity toward resolution? What becomes clear is that many processes linked to decline can also be redirected toward renewal. The skin is not a passive surface. It functions as an active system, participating in its own regeneration. When senescence is addressed, the goal is not only the reduction of wrinkles, but the restoration of the skin's ability to coordinate repair, resilience, and overall vitality. A deeper philosophical idea emerges. Aging is not only the passage of time. It can also be understood as the gradual accumulation of disrupted communication. Senescent cellular activity becomes one of the strongest expressions of that disrupted dialogue. By observing, adjusting, and recalibrating these signals, aging can be reframed from a narrative of loss into a process that still contains potential for change. It is important to view the skin not simply as an external layer, but as a biological interface. It is the largest organ in the body and serves as a dynamic point of communication with the environment. Its outer layer, the epidermal barrier, functions as a primary defense system. It selectively regulates what enters the body, what is blocked, and how the skin responds to environmental stress. When this barrier is weakened, multiple functions decline. Moisture is lost more easily. External agents penetrate more readily. Inflammation increases. The skin begins to lose its natural clarity and strength. This can be compared to a fortified structure where damaged walls allow instability to spread inward. However, unlike static structures, the skin barrier is living tissue. Its maintenance depends on coordinated activity involving lipids, proteins, and cellular processes. Key components such as ceramides, fatty acids, and cholesterol form a structured matrix that retains hydration, blocks harmful agents, and supports immune signaling. When these components are reduced or imbalanced, the skin becomes dry, rough, and more vulnerable to visible signs of aging, including sagging and wrinkles. Scientific research now indicates that barrier function is not fixed. It can be influenced and improved through targeted topical interventions. Studies from institutions such as the University of California, San Francisco, have shown that compounds like niacinamide, hyaluronic acid, and plant-derived lipids can help restore barrier integrity, improve hydration levels, and regulate local immune responses. A key insight emerges. A strong barrier does more than protect. It communicates stability to deeper skin layers. When the barrier is compromised, stress signals increase and accelerate aging processes. When it is restored, these signals quiet down, allowing repair systems to function more effectively. Practical application can be organized into a barrier restoration approach. The first step is hydration, using humectants such as hyaluronic acid to attract and retain water within the skin. The second step is lipid reinforcement through creams or oils containing ceramides, fatty acids, or plant sterols to rebuild structural support. The third step is environmental protection, reducing exposure to ultraviolet radiation, harsh cleansing agents, and pollutants that damage barrier integrity. Each application becomes more than cosmetic action. It becomes a form of biological communication, signaling safety, stability, and readiness for repair. This raises a deeper question. How often is the skin understood as an active communicative system rather than a passive surface? When the barrier is restored, a feedback loop is reestablished. The skin perceives stability and shifts its energy toward regeneration rather than defense. This creates improved conditions for healing and renewal. There is also an emotional dimension. Engaging in consistent skincare can produce a sense of grounding and connection with one's own biological processes. In this framework, barrier restoration is not resistance to aging. It is support for the skin's natural intelligence and regenerative capacity. This leads into a more advanced area of biology known as epigenetics. Epigenetics refers to the regulatory system that determines how genes are expressed. It does not alter DNA itself, but controls which genes are activated or silenced and under what conditions. It can be understood as the operating system of biology, directing cellular behavior. If DNA is viewed as the structural code, then epigenetic mechanisms function as the control system that determines how that code is used. Over time, environmental stress, inflammation, and aging can disrupt this regulatory system. Cells that once efficiently produced collagen may slow their activity. Repair pathways may become less active. Senescent cells may become more dominant in tissue behavior. This results in visible changes such as wrinkles, sagging, and pigmentation irregularities. However, research from institutions such as Harvard, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and Stanford University has demonstrated that epigenetic expression is responsive to both internal and external signals. Certain topical compounds, including plant polyphenols, resveratrol, and nicotinamide, have been shown to activate genes involved in DNA repair, antioxidant defense, and collagen production. These compounds function as biological signals that influence cellular behavior toward improved function and repair. Mechanical stimulation also plays a role. The act of massage, rubbing, or gentle stretching of the skin can influence gene expression. Research published in Nature Communications has shown that fibroblasts and keratinocytes respond to mechanical input by activating genes associated with structural support and tissue repair. This means that physical touch functions as a form of biological feedback that can influence cellular programming. A practical framework can be described as an epigenetic reprogramming approach. It involves selecting compounds with gene-regulating potential, such as polyphenols, niacinamide, or retinoid alternatives, and combining them with consistent mechanical stimulation through gentle massage. At the same time, systemic factors must also be supported. Nutrition, sleep, stress regulation, and physical activity all contribute to epigenetic balance and enhance topical effects. A key question arises: if visible signs of aging are not fixed outcomes of genetic instruction, but adjustable expressions of biological signaling, then to what extent can they be influenced? This perspective shifts skincare from surface-level correction to active biological interaction. Every application and every touch becomes part of a continuous exchange with cellular systems. Across multiple mechanisms including collagen regulation, circulation, inflammation control, senescence modulation, barrier integrity, and gene expression, a connected system emerges. Each element represents a point within a broader biological network that can be influenced through consistent and informed action. Aging, in this view, is not a fixed condition imposed on the body. It is a dynamic process shaped by ongoing communication within biological systems. The tools discussed across these mechanisms form an integrated approach aimed at supporting repair, resilience, and long-term vitality. This leads to a final reflection. The visible signs of aging may not represent irreversible endpoints, but rather signals that can be interpreted, influenced, and gradually reshaped. Each action taken in response becomes part of a larger process of biological interaction where the body is not only observed, but actively engaged in its own maintenance. The central idea remains consistent. Aging is a form of communication. Within that communication lies the capacity for adaptation, renewal, and continued vitality. Engaging with this understanding allows a shift from passive observation of change to active participation in biological processes that shape long-term health and appearance. Please leave your thoughts about this content in the comments below. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.